Welcome to Trending with Suyo. Every week we'll have an interesting member of the community come share thoughts on their career, passion, and lives. These individuals will give you a rare perspective on the challenges but best moments of their chosen paths. My hope is that these conversations will help inspire you to find your true calling. So join me and see what you learn. So today I have a very special guest with me. She is someone that I aspire to be like. She's very motivating, a very loving person. She's actually a national columnist for CBC. She's a guest radio host for CBC, and she has her own podcast called Solve for X by Mars. So here she is. I'm going to pick her brain as much as I can today so that I can learn so much from her. Manjula Selvaraja. Hi, Manjula.
I don't know if I can. Should I leave? That sounds amazing. Thank you for that lovely little.
Well, everything is true. What I said, I love you, and I am really looking forward to our conversation today because I'm going to really try to learn as much as I can from you.
I should just say that the way that we met is because we were playing softball together, and I looked at your eyes and I said, "Oh my gosh, I love your eyes and your eye makeup." And a friendship started. Yes. Isn't that interesting? And now here we are.
Of course, exactly. Yeah. I was just going to say that actually, because not only are you all of the things that I just mentioned, but you are a mom, you play sports, and that's how we met at softball. So you do so many things and you're still so amazing. Like when we talk, I mean, just you know how people are good at what they do, but then they're not so great, to be friends with, but you are.
I think it's a little bit, I think there's a chemistry here. I mean, we got along playing softball, and it's just always nice to chat with you.
Oh, thank you, Manjula. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming to Training with Suyo. And I mentioned that you are a journalist. So let's start there. So there's not much of a Tamil representation in the world of journalism. So how has your experience been as a journalist, and how has that changed you to become the person you are today?
So here's the interesting thing. We're starting to see some amazing journalists, actually Tamil journalists in mainstream media. And then there's a ton of them that work for magazines, newspapers, blogs. I mean, yes, it could be more when you look at the size of the population in Canada, the Tamil population in Canada. But, I think of the two that I work with, Keerthana, Sridhar, and who I've actually worked on a project with her. She's at CBC. And then Abhi Kuhadasan, who's actually, you'll hear her on doing world news for the CBC all the time. So you are starting to see people come through. That's such a huge question about. So I switched over from being an engineer and a marketing executive to being a journalist. And I would say that I've always been curious about things. But what journalism does, first of all, is makes you curious about everything. I was on a vacation recently with a couple of girlfriends, one of those girlfriend trips to Niagara-on-the-Lake. And then I found myself asking the front desk people questions, then Googling them, then looking at the owner of the hotel. How come they own 3 hotels in the city? It just so happens that you start becoming really curious. And then the other thing, and the curiosity is incredible because you uncover gems in whatever environment you're in. The other thing that I really love, and I say this to people all the time, is when you're in journalism, you speak to people in the best of times and in the worst of times.
Right.
And it inspires you, but at the same time, it shows you, it displays to you the sorrows of the world. And in some way, it makes you grateful for the life that you already have. Right. So that kind of depth, no other job, part-time, full-time, anything else I've done, I haven't received kind of that profound understanding of the world from any other job that I've had.
Wow, yeah, that's huge. And another thing that you do is the radio, you're a radio host, and that gets broadcasted globally, right? So,
well, I mean, if it goes on the podcast, yes, but yeah, it gets broadcast around Canada. So I'm a what's called a fill-in or a guest host.
Okay.
So one of our regular hosts are away. It could be on, one of our national shows, some of our Ontario shows, one of our Toronto shows. They ask me to step on. It's an incredible opportunity. I some days can't believe I do it.
Yes.
I can't. But then you get the same thing. You talk to people about music and arts, but also about politics and transit and and tax, oh my gosh, a range of things that.
But how do you prepare for that mentally when you know that, people are going to be watching all over Canada? Like, how do you go into it preparing yourself?
Well, you have an incredible team that preps you, right? And does research, right? But at the same time, I think that you also strive to stay informed. So I read a lot of things. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of other radio shows as well. And just, I try to make sure that I know what's happening internationally, nationally, locally, and hyper-locally. And then the added thing that I try to bring, that I told myself I would do as a journalist, is make sure that I understood what was happening in different communities in the city that were not getting representation in mainstream media. So, I will listen into what the Punjabi community is doing, and what the Ismaili community is doing, and what the Afghan community is doing, what the Tamil community is doing. So I try as much as I can, even when I just pitch stories, to make sure that if they're an underrepresented community that I can talk about in this pitch meeting, who may get their story into the news. So I strive to do that, because otherwise, it makes what we do on CBC so much richer. And it also makes communities feel included, to see themselves covered in mainstream media.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for doing that.
Well, I try. It doesn't always work, but I try.
Yeah. And also, I didn't mention this before, but you're also a co-founder of a nonprofit organization called Tamil Women's Rising, where you guys empower women for career advancement as well. So tell us about that. And I know you guys do a lot of workshops. How can people get involved with
Oh my gosh, just find us. Look for Tamil Women Rising on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and come to any of our events. I mean, we are starting a series where we get small groups of women together, 10 to 12, for dinner. We give them a topic to discuss, and then just want them to meet. So if you are in a position in your life where you're feeling ambitious, no matter where you are, whether you're 19 out of school or you're 50 and looking for that pivot, whatever it is, if you are looking for a group of women to be surrounded by that are ambitious and support each other, and maybe you feel, I'm not sure if I have all of those people in my life right now, or I have some and I want more, this is where you come to find that community for yourself, right? That 4 or 5 other women that you can reach out to when you have a conflict at work, or you are, confused about hiring a vendor, or you want to change careers, or you want to negotiate, or you just need a pep talk because it's been a bad day. Finding that community, that's what we create. So we do dinners, events, workshops, all of that. Just find us.
Oh my gosh, like that. I'm listening to you like, yes, that's me. That's me.
You'll have to come to our next
100%.
We'd love to have you at our next
I would love this. I feel like we didn't have much of this like when I was growing up. I wish I did, because I feel like, world would have been way more less difficult for me if I had that guidance.
At our last one, we were talking career advancement. We ended up talking about fertility. Because some young women started saying, this issue matters to us. So I didn't have this, and I and the 4 other co-founders, this is a labor of love for us. We want to create these for other people. And create it for ourselves too, right? A place where we can even come and talk about things like, how do you care for aging parents? Because that is also a career issue. A career issue isn't just negotiating. It's also things in our personal life that affect our careers, right? Yeah.
I love that, because we are looking for mentors. I feel like we don't have much in our a community. We don't even know where to start, where to go look for some. So, people like you who are they're so inspiring, Manjula, honestly.
I think we can be that for each other though, right? I walked in and what did I ask you before the camera started rolling? Give me some advice. I need to hire someone for my business. And I asked you, that's what we need ambitious women to do for each other. We can't keep looking for that mentor, the one person that has made it. We need to be that for each other, right?
I love that. Thank you, Manjula. So Manjula, with all this stuff that you do, you must have some cool stories and experiences. So are you able to share a memorable experience that you had?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so many. Where do I start? Couple of things. I think I'm going to start first of all with talking about the one that I'm going to actually tell you is about Tamil Women Rising.
Okay.
Because it is so close to my heart. We're both Tamil Canadian women, but a recent event that we had, there was a woman that came up to me and said that she really appreciated, we had a room of about 120 people. We'd listened to a whole bunch of speakers. I think every one of the speakers was also a Tamil woman. The room was full of Tamil women, right? And she came up to me and she said, she goes, and we do this networking after where we give you all a topic. You have to get into small circles of 10 and talk. Everyone has to talk, right? So really, you end up meeting people.
Right.
So she came up to me and she said, I've been to mainstream networking organizations in my professional field where there are people of all sorts, right? But people from my professional field. And she goes like, people just look past me because they don't think that I have the same degree of accomplishments they do. They think that I'm there because someone brought me along. So they don't actually make a point of networking with me because they think that I don't hold power.
Wow.
As a brown woman, that I may not have power. And they don't even, she goes, it's not like they're being overtly racist. It's so subtle that they will actually look past me and network with other people.
Oh.
So she goes, how do I build my network then? And you still have to go into those spaces. It's super important. You have to assert yourself. You have to make a point of meeting maybe more people than other people do till you meet the people that are important. But it really resonated with me because I've had that experience as a tech in my previous career as a tech executive. And I'm so glad that she could come to that room and meet people. Like that meant so much to me that at least here you're going to build some networks and have a little power circle. Maybe some of us can come with you to those events and increase the amount of power that you have in that room. Right. So anyway, it just really meant a lot to me to have.
Well, you're changing people's lives. I don't think you realize that.
I don't think that, but we're helping a little, I think is the way that I would.
See, that's your nice way, but you are. See, this is why I love her. But Manjula, I'm sure there's so many challenges that come with all the stuff that you do. Tell us about the challenges.
The challenges, I would say, I'm going to talk about journalism, right? I think that journalism is under threat. I think that journalism is underfunded. And I think that, if you go to any small town in Canada right now, some of these places don't have any media that is covering anything in that city. Is city council working? Are people getting paid enough? Are the schools functional? None of that stuff is getting covered. And when you're in a big city and you have so many media outlets, you think, oh, we have enough of that, right? So I don't know what's going to change that, but I hope someone comes along that disrupts something and makes sure that there is still reporting going on important issues, that people are still covering scandals and investigating things and holding people accountable. That is one thing. It is a challenge in journalism. I think the internet, which, I report on a lot of things technology related. I love that we have the internet. I love that so many people are doing things like this, but it does also mean that it's taken advertising away from journalism. I don't want to see these other things stop, but I would love to see real I would love to see journalism supported and that kind of reporting continue to happen.
Yeah. Maybe you can take over that field one day.
I think it's going to take some brains, and there are a lot of people trying to figure it out, and hopefully something emerges soon, not in the next decade, but like in the next couple of years.
Exactly. And also I wanted to ask you, you have your foot in so many things and you're doing great. How do you balance everything?
I get a lot of help. Right. So I am privileged that way. I have a lot of family help, a super supportive, other half. I do get a lot of help, but I would say, having interviewed a lot of women that do a lot of things, I would say you might think you can do everything and that you can have everything. We've been sold that. You can't have everything at the same time. Please remember that advice. And even if you execute things to 60% of where they need to be, you're doing a great job. Because for someone to be a partner, perhaps a parent, a caregiver for parents, someone who's making money to pay the bills, doing side hustles that they love, and then your hobbies, and then health. My gosh. How do you hold that all together? So if you're achieving 60% of this, you're in a good spot. But I would say, as much as possible, the two things that I try to do is I keep a gratitude journal. because I don't want to forget how grateful I am for what I have.
Yeah.
The second thing that I do is I sleep a lot as much as I put, because sleep is if I don't have sleep, everything else gets wrecked.
Right.
And the third thing is I network a lot.
Okay.
Right? Because I do believe your network is your net worth. And people will tell you that stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But try to maintain your network over time, because they are the people that will help you find someone to look after your kids if you suddenly have to take over a job. They will help you find your next job. They will help you negotiate for better pay. When you lose your job, they will be the soft mattress that you land on. Mm-hmm. So make sure that you keep a supportive network of people who care about you and care for you, not just a network.
You have to keep
good people around you throughout your life.
That's great. That's great advice. And what advice, speaking of advice, what advice would you give someone who's watching that wants to be like you?
I don't know why. I think be yourself. I think be yourself. Oh my gosh, that is that you're asking me for such a, so I think that as women, we tell ourselves that we have to compare ourselves to others. I think most of the women that I meet are so accomplished in their own right. Like I look at you, right? Here you are, you've created a side hustle, right? And what I find really interesting is that you still have a job that's going to pay your bills. This is a case study in excellence. People who want to do something that they're passionate about, and get rid of the job that pays the bills and jump into that. You don't want to do that. You want to, one, ensure that you can pay the bills.
Right.
Two, whenever you're doing a side hustle, do it, but do it with excellence. Don't just dabble in it, which is what you've created.
Thank you.
You've created a space. There's a professional person that is recording us. You've even got trending with Suyo on your cards. The details are all taken care of. So if you're going to do a side hustle that doesn't pay as well as it should right away, do it with excellence, and the investors and everyone else will find you. Right? But I would say that believe in yourself and find people that will believe in you. But trust me, the skills are already in you. You don't have to be some excellent talker and a type A person. You just have to have your goal and go for it, and find the people that are going to support you in your journey to get there. And there will be naysayers, and you do have to develop a thick skin, but you will find the people that will support you and allow them to help you get there.
That's awesome. Usually when, the guests are talking, you have so much to say, but because I look up to you so much, like I mentioned, I'm sitting here and so quiet and just in awe. Okay, go on.
You're going, I talk too much.
No,
oh my gosh.
Not at all. I'm just in awe listening to you. But with all this that you do, I know you cut the world off for a little bit. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
How you do this cleanse that I think we should all, do. So tell us about your digital detox cleanse.
Okay. So I say this knowing that there's some days that I don't manage to do it, but pretty much, because I report on tech, I was noticing, I report also some negative things on tech and the effects that it has on our attention span, on our well-being, on our mental health, especially for people that are really young. If you're a young woman, please be cautious on how much time you spend on social media. Having said that, I noticed that it was having an effect on me. I was distracted. I sometimes, when I would go on Instagram, would feel poorly about my life and what I had achieved and how I look and things like that. And then I was also wasting time. I would spend 2 hours on it. I would go to look for someone's phone number. Have you had this? Where then 2 hours later, I'm like,
why am I still on the phone?
So what I do on Sundays is every Sunday, and not all Sundays, because sometimes I fail, but every Sunday I put my phone aside. I only look at Viber because I keep in touch with my parents on Viber. The people that are my immediate family can call me. I can still have screen time. I can watch shows, but I don't look at social media. I don't look at any apps. I don't do any work. I don't do Gmail. And I just kind of just walk around. I can spend time with my kid. I can help my kid with homework. If my parents need me to kind of come and mow the garden, I can do that. But otherwise, It's totally nothing on my smartphone. And here are my things that you have to do. Because I've had friends that have done this. If you do it, don't force your kids and your other have to do it. This is your digital detox, not theirs. Rule number one. Rule number two is, if you're doing a digital detox, this is not a time to suddenly discover that you have to declutter your closet, you have to clean the house. No, you do completely fun things. You can sit around and watch a stupid romantic movie. You can read a book. You can bake cake. You can eat cake. You can go for a walk. You can meet with your friends. No tasks. Right?
Because I think that's the thing that people do. They're like, oh, let me get my closet cleaned. Let me clean.
Let me get out my task list.
Yes.
But what you're going to find are a couple of things. Your day will be really long. Your Sunday will last forever.
I can imagine.
You'll find yourself like sometimes doing something, been baking and going, now what am I going to do with all of my day? Like you will have all of this time, and you will find that when you get to Monday, you are far more focused through the week. You don't dread your Mondays or your work day as much because you've had this time where you've absorbed your world. Your life will slow down and you'll start to see beautiful things around
Mondays will be much better.
Oh my gosh, let me tell you.
So what have you done that you never had time to do before?
Oh my gosh, I've binged like really like embarrassing shows. I probably shouldn't even. I've binged shows. I've baked a lot. I meet up with a lot of friends. There was one day I sat down and read a fiction book from start to finish through the whole day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I sometimes just sit around with my parents watching Tamil soaps. Like there's nothing intellectual. But what I found is that it's like I rediscovered things that I really loved. Reading, having brunch with my friends. I love hiking, right? And I love watching stupid TV. I've discovered that too. But just things that I love, right?
How long are we supposed to do this? Like, is it supposed to be like a forever thing?
No. You can pick. You can do it for only half the day on Sundays if you want. I do from 12 to 12. Here's the funny thing. I started at 12 midnight. Guess what happens? By 11 p.m. on Saturdays, I start craving it. I'm like, I can't wait for midnight to get here and for me to chuck this phone out. Like that's how much I crave it. But you don't. And then if you want to only do it for like a month in your life, do it for a month in your life. You know, it's completely optional. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, so do it for half days, do it for 6 months if you want, whatever you want. It doesn't have to be Sundays, it could be Saturdays. If you don't work on Thursdays, it could be Thursdays. Whatever it is that you want.
You can tweak it to
your detox, you get to choose.
Exactly. I want, I want feedback from the viewers, hopefully after they watch this episode, if they do try it, to let us know how that has changed their lives.
DM me on Instagram because I'm actually collecting stories of how people are responding to it. So please get in touch. I would love to know.
So how do we get in touch with you, Manjula? You want to tell
on Instagram, you can find me at Manja Selva. Just look for Manjula Selvaraja, and then LinkedIn as well. I'm slightly lazy on both platforms, but I will respond to you eventually.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Manjula, for being here and sharing all your like cool stories and like all this like amazing, like you're such an inspiration, like I always say. And please, come back and
reflect
see
that
me.
back to you. It's been so lovely chatting. You're so good at this.
Thank you, Manjula. Is there anything else that you want to say to the viewers?
No. Look after yourselves. That's all I'll say. You come first. Look after yourselves.
Thank you so much for being here on Trending with Suyo, and I hope to see you again soon.
For sure.
All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode and you learned so much from Manjula. As you could tell that I was just in awe by her. But come back next week for more great stories and more great conversations. I'll see you guys next time on Trending with Suyo.